What's up, everybody? Big Herc 916, and you tuned in to another edition of Fresh Out Interviews. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, support, represent. And today we got a very special guest, somebody that's a blast from my past that I met a long time ago that's actually doing good now and was in the industry. The original Chyna Dahl, back from when I was in the game, and man, I'm so blessed to have her on the show. So I'm gonna let her tell you a little bit about, where she's from, how she grew up, and how she got into the adult industry. Since you guys have been asking so many questions about my past, I'm gonna dig in a little bit to Chyna Dahl and let her talk a little bit about her past.
Okay. Hey everybody, I am the original Chyna Dahl from the 80s and the 90s into current. So that's the back history on the name. It's Chyna Dahl. I got into the industry, I'm sure like a lot of other people, from different things that happened to you growing up. So it just made it a little bit easier for those doors to be open to you and you to say, okay. So I grew up in Compton, California, and I went to Compton schools, and I was birthed to two very unhealthy parents. I say both my parents had drug-induced mental illness. My dad started off as just an alcoholic, and then he went to full-blown drugs to walking the street and being homeless, and me going to look for him to make sure he had food, or if it's raining, taking him shoes and clothes so he could be warm. My mom was slightly different. Her experience was being with my dad and being in an abusive relationship and her staying there, and I was the only child, so I had to endure all of their bullshit. Then she started to do other drugs and whatnot, and they gave me to my grandmother on my mom's side when I was 7. That was the time my dad attempted to shoot my mother in the head. And
Damn.
so she wears a bang now because the bullet grazed her head. That was the last time we got out there, because there had been many times before that things would happen, he would beat her, and we would stay. I actually learned how to hitchhike at 6 years old because we had deadbolts on both sides of the door in the house. So we couldn't get out unless my dad let us out. And one time he left, so we went out the bathroom window about this big. We crawled out the bathroom window, and my mom's like, do your thing like this. I'm 6 years old. And so we're hitchhiking. Then we lived in Watts, right by King Hospital and on Street. And my grandmother owned those duplexes that we stayed in on the corner, which is now the 105 freeway exit to Wilmington. And she also owned another house on that street, which she lived in. And then she owned properties in Mona Park across. My grandmother was really comfortable, my dad's mom. New Cadillac every other year. Granny had furs and blue diamonds. And nobody really knew what went on inside our house right down the street. So after that happened, and also the first person I ever fought was my dad, like to get him off my mom. I remember breaking a Coca-Cola bottle over his head because he was beating my mom at the curb of the street.
Wow.
And so that in itself kind of gave me a different outlook and respect for men. And then moving forward, I was staying with my grandparents on my mom's side, who were older, and they couldn't really do much. There was no I love yous in the house. There were no hugs. There were no great jobs. There was no, oh, we're coming to you, whatever you're having at school. Or I played all sports. So I got to run track at Compton College for the city of Compton. I won the essay contest for how to keep Compton clean for the city of Compton. I got to do the groundbreaking ceremony at Magic Johnson Park. I did the Pledge of Allegiance at A.C. Brew Library. We lived in Athens Park with Mayor Kenneth Hahn, but never was there anyone in my family there to witness any of these achievements with me. So I've always felt like a loner, but I had to be smart because those were one of the times my mom would come around is to beat my ass if I didn't get straight A's. You know, okay, you got a B. What are you doing with a B? You've shown that you can get straight A's. You're going to get straight A's or I'm going to beat the shit out of you. I got beat with extension cords. I got beat one time with an umbrella because I started the washing machine. Like, she tried to drown me in a tub of hot water. Like, and my grandfather and him called the police on her. And she was an embarrassment to the family too. My grandmother would complain because after my dad shot her, she turned gay. And so my grandmother would say, oh, you got all these bull daggers around here and you're overdosing and they're driving you up and down the street trying to bring you back to life. So yeah, that was it in a nutshell of how I began to think dysfunction was okay. Because if you're raised in a house with all this chaos, you really don't know that that's not going on in other people's homes. So you become immune to it, and you think this is what's going on and what life is if you have nothing to compare it to. So I thought all that dysfunction was okay, and it carried over into my teenagehood and early adult life with the dysfunction. I would go visit my dad, who stayed with my grandmother. And I remember at age 11, a sleepover. And I was laying on my side. And I don't know why to this day I had to sleep with him over there when I visit. And then he started to get an erection. And that was the first time I ever knew what that was. And it was my father. You know, that was the first person to try to have sexual intercourse with you. So that was a sick mind. I hopped up and I went and told, and I said, you know, he's touching me and it doesn't feel right. And the person that I told said, your daddy wouldn't do that. Go back in there and get in the bed. And my dad goes, oh, she must have been dreaming. I would never do that. They sent me back there with him. And so I never went over there again. And it made me very distant with him. Thereafter, I pretty much despised him. And that side of the family, except my grandmother, his mom, who always would make a big deal over me. And my first cousin, my dad's brother, his son was and he was from and that was my first cousin. Our dads are brothers. And so she would always make a big deal over us because we were the dark babies. And she would say we're her little dark babies because the other grandkids were light. And she would give us special attention and, you know, make out over us and buy us so many things. And that was some good memories from that. But beyond those things, there weren't really good childhood memories. And so as I got older, my respect for men started to like lessen because the first person that you know as a man who is your father, who is supposed to protect you, who is supposed to show you what love is, who is supposed to show you your value, he let me down. So then I got into gang banging and doing different things in late in junior high school and high school and hanging around with the kids in the neighborhood. You know, that was my family. But I still would, you know, be in my books because I had to, and I still would do like after school things because that would keep me from having to go home. The later you could stay at school doing something, be it sports, music, whatever, you don't have to go back home to that dysfunction. And mind you, I had an auntie who lived with us in the house who was schizophrenic. That was my first real one-on-one with dealing with mental illness. She had schizophrenia, and we would wake up in the middle of the night, and Auntie Doris would be standing over you with a butcher knife, saying you got on a skin suit, and she'd go cut it off of you, and like craziness. She threw hot grease on my grandmother one morning before school, and like burnt the whole side of her face to the pink was showing. And you know, so we were raised in a bunch of dysfunction. It was me and my first cousin, my mom's sister. She had one daughter also, and they gave us both to my grandmother and grandfather. And my grandfather worked 2 jobs, so he wasn't there a lot. You know, Daddy just made the money, and he didn't say too much unless he had something to say. So moving forward, my grandmother died at 15, so it was like, I've got to figure it out. And that was the first time I had a job. I worked at 2 for 1 Pizza. I would get out of school at 12 o'clock, and I'd go to work, and things were better for me because I didn't have to call my mom for anything then. But it was like, okay, I still got to try to get out of Compton because at that time I still was working. But then we would still go on the J Block and we curve serve. You know, we were selling dope. You know, next car, your car. My car, next car. You know, these are the things that I would do. And people look at you now and be like, nah, not you. It's called surviving.
That's right.
And these people that were the gang, they had my back, you know, and I knew that they would be there. They raised me in other ways, you know, and then I went with one of the biggest gang members from his name was Zell. That was my boyfriend, you know, that was my first love, and everybody, all the OGs know that, you know, we were like Bonnie and Clyde. Whatever he said, do, I did. You know, whatever is going down here, put this in your purse. That was my babe. So, but he would make me go to school. He had another girlfriend on the next block, and he would make me go to school. He would drop me off at school. I'm like, why I gotta go to school and she don't have to go to school? He said, don't worry about it. But I know that he saw something better for me, you know, and he was older than me. And I found that I was always attracted to older guys, and that was a part of looking for the dad that you never had and somebody to just protect you, which you didn't get. And that's what he did. He made sure I was always good. So after that, he went to jail, and I moved on to another job where I was 17, and I met my first husband. And that was about, okay, this was my out of Compton. And so I was driving a Porsche and a Cadillac to school in the 12th grade with this man. He was 30, I was 17. Ended up marrying him. We were together 7 years.
He was 30 at the time when he met you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Child molester.
Wow.
But I was used to that.
Yeah.
You don't know that that's different. It's a predator.
Yeah.
And he also is the one that got me to stripping. If you want to be with me, you know, you want to have this, and you want to have the house and the cars and the pool and this, that, the other, then you're going to have to go with my friend's girl who does this, and she's going to take you and show you, you know, all the things that you need to do. So with that came my first hair weave, my first lady dress and high heels and all those things, because I was kind of a tomboy, and that was my makeup, because I always had the little boy in me, because if I kept that, then I could keep the guys you don't want at bay. You know, they won't be so into you, always be the homegirl, you know. And so he took me, well, he didn't take me, he took me to her, and I went with her after I got my hair and everything done, and went to go audition at this club, and we had to do 3 songs. Mind you, I never knew anything about a strip club before in my life.
Oh, wow.
I did my 3 songs, came down, went in the back, fainted. The owner came, Miss Bell, it was called Charlie's. She came and she was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You can't work here, you on dope. And I'm like, what? No, I'm not on dope. I said, I've never done anything like that in my life, but I think after the adrenaline rush came down and what I had actually did, I fainted.
Yeah.
You know, but by the end of the week, all the money I was making, shit, just have a cocktail. You know, smoke this weed. And it's just like the movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And I ended up making so much money in that and going to other clubs, you know. And
how old were you at this time?
We had fake IDs.
Oh, shit.
I was 20 years old. And we had fake IDs. They cost $300 straight from the DMV then. People had to hook up. Because we even went to jail. Oh, my God. We went to jail at this after hours on Slauson and Overhill. Illegal after hours. SWAT came and raided it and drew down on us. They was making so much money in there. And we had our fake IDs, and I was so scared. I was like, oh, shit, because the fingerprint's not going to match. I don't have the, you know, the glue on my finger and all this shit we had to do. And it was just like, It was a mess. So we ended up getting lewd conduct for that. Certain girls got certain things because other people was doing things that others weren't. So at that time, it was fairly early. I wasn't really doing anything. So I got a lewd conduct, kind of smack on the hand, and we had probation and restitution and stuff like that. And so after that, he was caught. My husband, I was still with him. And, he had sent me to do all these things and showed me this other side of life. And I had no idea that he also used to pimp. Found that out at the wedding. One of my mama's friends, Green Eyes, knew some of his buddies, Hadari and Lee Mack and Ray Dushan and all these pimp guys was there. Still married him. Because the money was good at the time. And, the way he treated me, I didn't know any different until we started fighting. All the time, it was a fight. And, I'm not going down like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fight.
Yeah, you're not going to put
You're going to take an ass whooping or you're going to get one. But we fought. Like, I continued. When I saw that movie, I was like, this is my life.
Shit.
This is my fucking life. From lying, having a fractured nose and saying, I was in a car accident and hit my face on the steering wheel. And it would be because he and I, had a big fight and his eyes would be fucking cut up and lips because you're going to take it as good as you give it, because I was going to fight to the end because I was used to having to fight my daddy for my mama because my mama wouldn't fight him back. So I didn't really care if it was a girl or a guy, and I didn't see the dysfunction in it because I had watched that with my parents. And so one time we were at the hospital and it was really bad, and he had punched me really hard, and when I screamed, it burst my eardrum. And so one of the case managers came in. She was like, we know that, you're not falling and you're not having car accidents and this and that and the other, and we want to offer you counseling because we feel you're in a domestic violence situation. And that was the first time I was like, you know what, I had enough. I can't do this. And I took her up on the counseling. Best thing I could ever do, because in the black community, black and brown communities, if you went to counseling or to see a therapist, you're crazy.
Yeah, you're weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I got to go and speak to this lady and understand what this cycle was that I was on, it made so much sense, And he got in trouble. He ended up leaving the state because he can't do time. He said he was too pretty to go to jail once he bailed out. So he left and went out of state and left me. I had one son. I was 22 going on 23. I had been married to him since 17. So I finally had a son by him. And shortly after is when he got popped and he left. And it left me and my son was about 1.5, 2 at the time. And I had to, continue to figure it out. So I was still dancing, and I met a porn star. Her name was Ebony A's.
I remember that name.
Yeah, Ebony A's. And Nina DePonca. They worked at a club that I was at. Yep. And they talked to me about come on and just go do this single girl masturbation, and you'll get this kind of money and they're going to love you. And you're a black crossover kind of, black girl. And so I was like, okay, let me go see about this money because, my fucking drug of choice was money.
Yeah. Because
I came from parents that were druggies, so I'm a control freak about that shit. Like, no, it won't get me because I am never going to be them. I'm my mother's child. I'm not my mother. I'm my father's child. I'm not my father. So I went and I did that one flick, and the money was cool, and the producers all loved me, the white guys. Come sit on this couch and we can get you this movie and we'll get you this cover and you can be the centerfold for Players Magazine or you're going to be in the calendar, for your birthday month. And, I got nominated and I won an AVN award and things like that. Within my span of doing it, it was a stretch of maybe, I want to say 6 years. Off and on that I dabbled in it. I did maybe about 10 movies, 15, because that was enough for me. I like bossy at everything I do. So I didn't comply a lot. Like
A lot of politics in the business.
Yeah, and okay, well, before it starts, you need to give this guy a blowjob, or this guy, one of the actors, is like, blow me off. No, that's what fluffers do. Like, I'm not doing it until they say, we're ready to start. Then this is work for me. So I've always had that attitude, even with stripping. When I went to work and I would see people in the club and they'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing here? Working? What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
I got a 1099, independent contractor, entertainer. I file taxes on this shit. You paid to get in here. Don't try to clown me. What are you doing here? Ask me, what am I doing here? I never would let people make me feel bad about anything I was doing, because if you're in that same environment and you telling me shame on me, shame the fuck on you.
Right, that's right.
Because I'm capitalizing on this shit. Never been homeless, never been without a car. Ain't nobody gonna say Chyna was ever a drug addict. All the girls gonna tell you is Chyna was a fucking money go-getting bitch. Chyna took us to get money. Chyna took a few of us from being homeless and made sure we were straight. Chyna showed us how to take care of our bodies. Chyna showed us how to, to get men and not get got. So I got girls that tell me, thanks to you, I'll never be fucking hungry again. If nothing else, I know how to go get my money, and I know what I'm worth. And that came about from me being molested, and then other things would happen through the time after that from my dad growing up. Even, at the church, sleepovers at the church, we gonna play house. We're 13 and the girl is 16, and she's going down on us because we're playing house and she's the dad. So I was like, this must be some big thing.
Yeah,
everybody likes fucking sex. So I'm going to capitalize on this shit. And I said, it's going to be who I say, when I say, how much I say, and that's it. Because apparently it's something, I got something that people want, women. Because you guys are doing all kind of shit and it's hush, don't tell. You're seeing people's husbands in the club. You're seeing your neighbors in the fucking club. You're seeing family members like,
can't believe they're up in here? Yeah.
So what's to this shit? And I said, okay, this is the best thing since, white bread. I got to capitalize on this shit, and I did. And I took a lot of girls with me, and they all got money. We got money, and that's what we did. The industry, it was okay, but like I said, it wasn't too much for me because I'm kind of set in my ways, and I don't want to do what you tell me to do sexually for this, because there's a lot of that going on. You have to do this or sit on the couch to get that, and I'm just like, I'm cool. I know how to get money other ways. So I dabbled in that for a bit, and I had my run and met you, and we hung out, and we did some good work together. And one of them even went to the Spice Channel.
First major feature.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The movie we did in Malibu.
What, Maverick?
Yep.
Maverick.
Maverick.
Yeah, Maverick.
Yeah. And we
Maverick
did that on that ranch
man,
in Malibu.
I was scared to death. I was nervous. I hadn't really been on no set like that, and I was new to the game, and it was like a lot of people. Stunts and horses. I had a fight scene. Remember breaking the bottles, and oh my God, this is real acting, man.
Yeah, it was.
It was like I had never done anything like that. And it was like, it was just a different time back then. It was a real production.
It was a great feature film, and we got to stay on that set for days. We were treated so well by the owners of that house. I mean, multi-million-dollar home at that ranch.
Yeah.
And it was different than the things that we did, how we did it, versus what's going on now. And I don't watch porn, but I can only imagine, because it's been so many years since I have been out. I can only expect that it's gone down, just like the stripping thing has gone down. We used to make trash bags of money stripping, not grocery, but I mean trash bags, because then if you were a dancer, the celebrities loved you. You were a celebrity.
That's right.
You had your dope dealers, because that was a dope game in the 90s. All the big time dope dealers come in there with stacks of money breaking you off. Your rappers, R&B singers, actors, and then I started dancing at Peanuts. And so
I remember Peanuts back in the day.
Yeah, that was like a good secret for a lot of celebrities would come there, and they could live out their fantasies. And I mean, we would make thousands of dollars a night in there. And it was great. And we met some really good people that I am still friends with, till this day, because I never betray anybody. And they know Chyna don't steal. I'm gonna work for mine. You can leave your Rolex out, your credit card. You know, I have people I party with, and they like, oh, well, write out the company check and I'll just sign it. They know I'm not gonna steal anything. You know, because why to me is, why are you gonna fuck off something consistent for a quick something? And you know, I'm too easy to find. I'm not leaving LA. You know, so I don't burn bridges. And people knew that I was very trustworthy and I didn't talk a lot of your business. So football players, whoever we party with, they know. And I'm have my girls in check when I bring them. You know, it's gonna flow how it's supposed to flow. If we flying out of town, whatever, you know, we're doing. So I've always had a good reputation with the industry and what I did and how I did it. That's why I say it's not what you do, it's how you do it, you know? And to me, it was work. And people knew that Chyna's coming to work and get her money, you know? And it ain't gonna be no bullshit. So